People acting.
The pattern were made from tracing of a loose-fitted denim jean and a pair of basic t-shirts that I own. I prepared my pattern paper, found the crotch seam of my shorts and laid it flat, traced around it and measured it also so that it matches. Then I came in with a roller to trace the line that I had already created. And also did the same for the front pattern. Since the denim short waistline is lowered in the front, I raised it to the level of the back. And cut out my pattern. For the basic t-shirt, I folded it at the top inwards to determine the length and the sleeves in to determine the width. And then I traced the top part and draw a vertical line to the bottom of the shirt and a horizontal line across the width. Then brought in an existing pattern that has a French dart. I drew in the dart, folded it and redrew the side and marked where I wanted my straps, and then cut out my pattern paper. For the camisole, I wanted a facing to finish off the edges. To determine the length of my facing, which is about 2.5 inches, traced it and cut it out. I laid out my fabric by doubling it, making sure the edges match. At the top of the fabric, I marked a 1.5 inch allowance, which would be for the elastic placement, brought in my front and back pattern, pinned it, marked 1/2 inch allowance around it, and cut it out with a zigzag scissors to prevent fraying. I started preparing the fabric for the camisole by folding it on bias, cutting around it with 1/2 inch allowance, notching the dart and strap point. I also cut out my facing. And lastly, I cut out my strap on bias with a width of 1 inch, and the length is up to you. I started my sewing by joining the seam of my back pattern, and I did the same for the front and back side. Pressed open the seam, matched and pinned the crotch seam and sewed it. Then I sewed both sides of the shirt. I found my waistline marking and I folded the 1.5 inch inwards and pinned it all around and went ahead to press down the fold in. After that, I tried on the shirt to see if there was enough allowance around the waistline and the fit in general. For my waistband, I used my waist measurement, which is 30 inches. When I was making the pattern, I made sure my hip measurement and my waist measurement was the same, so that after applying the elastic, it will shrink down my waist measurement to the right amount. Using zigzag stitch to join the elastic, I applied my elastic and sew it in, and then I tried it on. I found the length of my sewn shirt to be a bit too long, so I measured in 2.5 inches and marked it until it disappeared into the crotch, and then I cut it out. I hemmed my seam by sewing a single fold of 3/8 inch and folded it again and sew it down. For the camisole, I started by sewing my first straps by 3/8 inch, cutting off the excess and flipping it to the right side. To do that, I used one of my large needles, threaded it and looped one end of the strap and pushed the needle inwards, allowing the dull end in first and pushing it like appears on the other side. I pinned and sewed my French dart, then placed the straps on the marked area and then placed the facing with the wrong side facing upwards and pinned, and I sewed the seam with a 1/2 inch allowance. And then I understitched the allowance to the facing using an 1/8 inch. I sewed my 2-side seam and pressed the seam open. And I hemmed the camisole as I did for the short by folding it first by 3/8 inch and sewing and doing another seam over it. Then I pressed the sewn seam and tacked my facing to the main fabric to prevent the facing from flipping over. And finally, I tied the knot at the end of my first straps and the pyjama set was ready.